game. First of all, just to explain the situation, bottom left is Zest. He starts up 1-0 in this best of 5. This was a little dual elimination bracket, so he gets a 1-0 advantage for coming from the winner's bracket. I like to do this when it's just a 4-player double elim bracket. I think it just makes it a little bit fair to benefit Zest for getting through without losing. So far, as in the bottom right, our blue Zerg player is Solar. So he did get an extra veto over Zest, so he got 2 map vetoes. And he gets first map picks as well, so he gets to choose to play on Blackburn for map number 1. So it helps to offset a little bit of that 1-0 advantage at least. So, game number 1, we're going to call, well, I guess we'll call this game 2 also the best of 5. It's whatever, you guys will know what I mean, right? Just wanted to take a quick moment to mention YouTube, guys, as we managed to actually save the Discord partnership somehow. One of the things I really want to push for the next couple of weeks is to try and get some more attention to the YouTube again, and to get that to pick up a little bit. You can check that out at youtube.com/WardiTV. All of the best matches get uploaded to YouTube, so it's a great place to check out if you're ever looking for some more Starcraft, or you missed a few streams and you're wondering what the best games were. The YouTube channel is basically like the highlights of the stream, only the highlights being full VODs, you know? So do check that out. You can !YouTube or YT in the chat if you want to get over there without even typing it in. Appreciate if you guys drop us a sub or so. We want to try and push 40k YouTube subs by the end of the year. If we do that, we'll run a little YouTube exclusive tournament. That will be a lot of fun. Last time around, I believe we had Clem, Stats, Zest. Ooh, who else played? Clem, Stats, Zest. We had I think Rogue played. We had a fun little group of players, so we wanted to make something like that happen again once we hit 40k Subarinos. So, game number 2, as we settle down, just going to be having our 1-0 lead from Zest because he played so well in the previous series. Obviously, it's a bit weird. I kind of said that this might happen, that we had Solar Beyond rematch and then a Solar Zest rematch. Solar Zest previously was a lot of fun, though. Zest coming out with a whole bunch of different styles. Solar having some successful games, but some also not so great moments. And especially like game 1, it felt like Solar really turned the game around. Game 3, it felt like Solar had a lot of potential, but maybe messed up the fights a little bit and really gave Zest some opportunities to win just a little bit more easily than it perhaps should have been. I'm going to see an Oracle to open up with in this series then from Zest. So we're going to be going Oracle first. We'll see how many Oracles we go for. We'll see if we hit a Void Ray. We'll see what the plan shall be as a Creep Tumor comes down on the side. So getting that Creep Tumor down, and Natural Hatchery setting up as well with the Link Speed about to finish up. I do have the Spore Crawler. Just getting Solar prepped to try and deal with this Oracle. A bit of a reminder about what's on the line today. Both these players have made it to the playoffs of this event, but this finals is worth $100 to the winner and $50 to the loser as well. So they're both to the playoffs, where they're guaranteed a little bit more prize money on top of what they win today, as well as obviously the chance to play for up to $700 prize pool. And yeah, and obviously as well, because they're in the playoffs, they're also qualified to the WardiTV Summer Championship main event. So that's a chance to play for a portion of a $4,000 prize pool. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's the big part of making top 2. Put some prize money on top of playing this extra little best of 5 final and stuff. So yeah, just doing things a little bit differently to how I usually do it, just setting it up a bit different and stuff like that. As we do have our Oracles are going to sit out to the side. So they're going to just chill out over there as a Rotoron of Solar builds on through. Multiple Oracles is the intention, and this time we do see some Adepts coming over. So it was kind of a cool move that Zest did in one of the earlier games that these two played, where Zest sent like a group of no-glaive Adepts across with like 1 Oracle, and he was actually going for glaives. And this is exactly the sort of thing he was faking. He was faking this sort of pressure, when in reality he was going glaives and was trying to trick Solo a little bit. It went alright. I wouldn't say it was like a major victory or anything for Zest. And that was the game he actually ended up losing, although the Adepts did end up doing really good damage. Other Adepts is going to be shading back there as the Twilight Council. We'll finish up in the main base, the Forge completing. We do just have the oracles getting chased away again as a couple of drones went down. The queens pushed that back. And the queen there to make sure that the oracles do not get another chance at making their way forward. Another drone going down. A revelation to drop once more. Just going to keep that base revelated. Keep it in vision. And like I say, we play from there as we have plenty of Zerglings waiting for a counterattack in. And only a few adepts here. Now the oracles are back home. Less likely the lings will find a chance to do much damage because an oracle activating will pretty much dissuade these Zerglings from continuing an attack. Overseer moves through the bottom side of the map. Just going to see a revelation dropping down. We do have charge. We do have +1. A few more High Templar all coming into play at the moment. The cannon's about to finish up, and these couple of Archons morphing. Means Zest's army is really getting to a decent point right now. I like where he's getting to. I feel like he's getting into a decent place. Do see a robo on the back here getting cancelled. He's gonna have to instantly rebuild. I mean, that's a nice little snipe. Slows down the robo, a bit of money invested that you don't get back during a cancel, obviously. Kinda like it. +1 attack and charge will continue through. There's 6 gateways still making their way up as well. So Zest really just hammering on the gateways at this point as we see the oracles kind of just joining up with a couple units here. This push is going to be deflected to begin with, more or less, though, so doesn't really get very far. As these Archons now taking a bit of damage. A lot of those Lings taking some hits. A lot of the Lings taking some hits, and the Queen's going to start transfusing each other up and bringing everybody back up to health as well. Have an Overseer here, which is also just going to get chased away. The Stalker's blinking through. Pick that off and shut that down. Plenty other Lings making their way across. Still just keeping them here. Basically just wants to say, hey, I've always got the option of a counterattack if I want it. Maybe watching for that 4th base, but Zest was very well aware of what was happening. So he moved his units over then and says, nuh-uh, you little Lings, you're not going to be able to catch my base. You guys aren't allowed to kill that off. We'll see a Stasis Sword going down here as well. It's going to catch a singular drone. As now this Ling Roach Force is going to knock down a set of rocks as well. And these other oracles will make their way out down to the bottom side of the map. So away they go to the south. 2 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon building from Zest. And Blink's halfway done, +1 air weapons and +2 attack upgrade continuing in. A Burrow upgrade coming through as well. Going to be finishing soon as we have got our hatchery in the upper right hand side. Continue to come into this. Just going to see those Zealots continuing across. And we do have 2 more Stargates and Fleet Beacon about to be finishing. Seismic Spines will build on that Lurker Den. Now, I haven't really seen Lurkers in the ZvP today. We've seen them plenty much in the ZvT. ZvP not quite so much, but I like them on this map. I mean, the directions of attack on this map are pretty one-dimensional, so the Lurkers are very easily able to rotate around to the different positions they could need to be in. And they can really do very well with that. As Zealot's going to go to the top side. Get turned pretty quickly by a couple of Queens, and then some Roaches showing up as well to keep those Zealots pushed away. Stasis Ward's going down. Zest is just going to go to carriers, and I like it. If Soul's going to play Lurkers, just play defensively against them, and just start teching up further, because while Lurkers can be used offensively and aggressively, if you play defensively, it might be tough for them to do much. That's a great start in Stasis Ward. So those Lurkers are now going to be stuck there for a little bit, and the rest of the units will not get past there very easily at all. The Hydras are going to try and make it a thing. The one thing I don't like for Zest is no Storm or anything, means that you can't, you know, you basically, you've got no splash damage that's going to punish units stacking up or anything. You've got to be committed to a fight if you're going to start fighting, basically, because anytime you fight right now, you're going to be more or less walking into Lurker Fire. If you're walking into Lurker Fire, you better be sure you're not just walking in to walk back out of it again, right? So As Zest tries to counterattack across the map with these Zealots, I gotta say, that's really not going very far either. These Zealots do get turned around as Roach Queen makes sure to chase it down. And the Zealots, again, not really all that successful. We are going to make a dive here. The first carrier got abducted in and got killed off by the Hydras, but everything else from Zest is going to come through and get a cleanup. Solar losing plenty toward the end. As now we're going to have a few more Zealots and so on continuing through. Just going to try and jump in on top of this. And meanwhile, the reinforcements from Solar just rallying forward. The carriers will be great if you get to enough of them, but right now we're not getting to enough of them. Especially as a second carrier nearly goes down. It does survive though, a re-abduct. Beautiful. And that Viper literally just got the energy for another abduct. So just managing to pick it off. And that keeps the carrier count now at 4. And that being down from what could have been 6 is huge, right? That's 30% of your carriers just not there. That originally were. So it makes life a bit easier for Solar for a while. And can maybe get by on this Hydra Lurker comp for just a little bit longer. I'm still just not sure if it'll be enough, though. I'm not sure if he's got a way to end this game before the carriers really do just become too overwhelming. And here you go. Cannon goes down. High Templar gets shot down. Storm ain't ready yet. Storm would really trivialize the defense for Zest. As right now there is an abundance of Hydras that just cannot be dealt with. And Zest's going to start giving up this base. Just going to pull the probes away. Not going to fight. Now he has Storm, but it almost feels like the Hydras got through the worst positions. First Storm drops down, but the Hydras were pretty well split, right? So while it does hit a few of them nicely, like I say, just not as deadly as it once was. Across the map, though, Zealots are putting in some work, and they kill off a hatchery. And one of the things that sort of sucked against a little bit in Lightshade when they played earlier was a Zealot counterattack that basically just won the game for Zest behind Solar's fairly successful attack otherwise. So, yeah, the Zealots killing off a base. It's a nice win for Zest for sure. It's not killing like 50 drones though, right? So it's not quite going to end the game. And it's not going to stop Solar from rebuilding, but it's definitely steps in the right direction to offset the damage that Solar has been able to deal. As Solar still in the same composition, really needs to make sure he has an answer to these carriers. Right now, I'm not sure if I'm convinced. I mean, it's just scary. These Hydras are vulnerable. They're fragile. They go down very quickly. The Storms do very well against them. I gotta say, I don't really love it just yet. As there's one Storm, and the Hydras get pushed back right away. Some Interceptors being shot down. Ten more Lurkers. We'll begin to morph in over on the left. We're gonna see to the bottom side a few Zealots. Gonna sneak through. A lot of Lurkers continue to build as these Hydras come forward, and the Interceptors will fire on. Big Storm is actually going to land across the board. More Storms towards those Lurkers as well. All the Interceptors being picked off. Carriers fire through. High Templar join together. Let's see a few of these drones starting to go down. 5 workers killed. A couple of Vipers are going to go and consume up a Roach Roaring. So Roach Roaring, again, some of its health zapped off of it. Zest's big issue is obviously not coming to mind from a 4 base, but obviously if you can get this gold running, then that would help with that. Problem with the gold is if just Lurkers get here, gold base is denied. Now obviously you've got something to deal with that. Carriers will just deal with it, and right now just one Lurker, but oh my god, 6 kills on the first set of shots! Yeah, you can't waste any time before you pull those probes, because that would have been a continued disaster had you let it slide. Tell you what, having broken down the first base as well, Solar can get into this position more easily, and this is more easy to push through than these choke points here in these slow zones, so pushing into the Protoss bases now becomes that little easier. You still gotta go through this choke, but it's much easier to get this far forward as, oh my god, High Templar are actually getting zapped down by these Lurkers, as the Abductor was decent on the carriers. Now the High Templars actually do survive to the high ground, gets a Storm on the top part of the Hydras, which are just fighting the Interceptors. There's nothing to support the carriers, and so the Hydras are just free to kill Interceptors. And if they're just killing off Interceptors, I think these Interceptors die too quickly. Against this amount of Hydras, this is why you need the Storm, and that's how Solar's just going to be able to keep on pushing through. You can see Zealots warping in, that's the intention, that's the idea. You need something to keep the Hydras busy before the Interceptors all die. Zealots will counterattack, As here come these Zelds as well, but with the Lurkers, the Zelds just melt a bit too fast. And now no Interceptors remain, and Solar is going to tie the series 1-1 with some pretty darn cool play on Blackburn. Twitch bounties are basically little sponsorships that come in via Twitch. And basically, if you guys sit around and watch for half an hour or leave the stream on when we finish up the Starcraft, any view basically transfers directly into success on the bounty, so we get paid a little bit more. So basically, if you can afford to leave the stream on or stick around for a bit when the Starcraft ends, we'll be going straight into that. It's a chill game. It's a good chance to actually just hang around and talk to me. So we'll be doing that for about half an hour after the Starcraft ends, and we typically take that bounty money, and as always, we recycle it into Starcraft 2 tournaments, because that's kind of what we do on the channel, in case you guys didn't figure it out already. That's kind of what we get up to here on WardiTV. We take pretty much anything and everything, and we turn it into Starcraft events. Anyways, more about that later, as Solar is in the bottom left of Jagannatha, and Zest is in the upper right. For the start of this best of 5 game 3. Zest is pretty much open. I think he actually has opened Stargate every single game so far today. He has not switched it into like a Twilight or a Robo or anything to open with, at least. So that's still a curveball he could maybe throw, but I think he's really believes in his Stargates, and so there's not necessarily a reason for him to not go Stargate. So I would, well, I wouldn't mind Zest changing it up. I would also like to see Zest change it up. Well, I don't mind him doing the same old thing. I think changing it up might still be a cool thing to do, at least at some point, right? Because imagine this goes to all 5 games, right? And then, you know, based on the earlier best of 3 as well, you're playing so many games against Solar in a day. Surely at some point something non-Stargate focused is good to open with, but I guess then if you're just so confident in your Stargate players, and you do, to be fair, have different ways of playing on the Stargate, which he does, and then maybe you could counter that point and say, well, why? You already have enough variance from the Stargate. Why vary it up with anything else if the Stargate does the job? So, yeah, a few ways we can look at it for sure. Our Adept on a bit of a patrol. We do see the Stargate from Zest finishing up here as well. Circling speed is well underway, and it's an Oracle to begin with this time around. Obviously, last game we didn't really waste any time going into voids or anything, right? It was pretty quickly into the into some of the other bits and pieces of the attack into the carries and stuff of Oracles. So it's 3 Oracle into pretty fast carriers, which was kind of a bit different, actually. Usually faster carriers come off of building Void Rays, you know. So we're going to lose 2 drones initially, and these Adepts, they do have a shade out now. They're going to kill a couple more Lings before one of them goes down. But 1 Adept for 3 Lings and 2 drones, and the other out, well, I say alive, but it's only maybe 1 more Ling goes down. He's kind of running. He'll just turn, kill 1 more Ling. But look at this, at the same time, the Oracle shows up, and Solar doesn't have a Spore in the main base. Disaster strikes as 8 drones go down in total now. 6 from the Oracle. Oh, and the drones had to pull as well, and suddenly Zest gets major early game damage. At the point in the game where you're meant to see Solar playing catch-up on the work count and finally overtaking Zest, he's actually going to be still 10 workers behind, and that is just so painful for a Zerg player. That is difficult to recover from. That's going to be really, really rough, actually. We'll see what we maybe do from this then, as we have got our Additional drones coming up, but does just give Zest that boosted eco. Now he's got triple Oracle as well. And what's scary about triple Oracle is this is kind of designed to kill drones. He's going to dive for a queen. And that's why triple Oracle is good, because you can dive a little bit more than usual. Because you can lose one Oracle and still have that one-shot potential on drones. So you kill a queen, you get 3 more drones. And Zest just says, hell yeah, I like how this is going. Let's just take this into another Stargate and a fleet beacon. He believes he's done enough damage to slow Solar down and he can just tech up into whatever the hell he wants. So Zest kind of just very happy, it seems, with how he's doing this far. Let's see, Oracle's still hanging around up the top, and just gonna make their way down the left now. A double carrier coming on through, just gonna be seeing our Oracles continuing down, chasing away those few Zerglings. And yeah, the game just gonna calm, right? As carriers come up and Zest basically just gets to go to carriers for free, Solar will begin to set up into Aspire, but again, that early damage is so significant. The fact that Solar is hurting so much on supply right now really is quite the sign, as a Fueling is gonna wrap around a pylon. Find this Twilight and Forge, and I don't mind going into a ground army. I always like this way of playing, actually. The idea of going into a few carriers and then behind those carriers, then getting the ground army up. So as more and more kind of anti-carrier stuff comes on the map, you actually have then still built into something which can deal with the anti-carrier stuff. So I feel like if you get this opportunity, I mean, this is already just powerful, right? Showing up, getting a few drones, harassing with these carriers. I'm gonna kind of do the same again here shortly, I imagine, as we turn around and get a few more drones. 2 more carriers just popped, and I imagine as well Solar has been seen go Inspire. So now Void Ray starts, so we're going to begin preparations for the Corruptors, which are of course the obvious answer against these carriers as well. So Zest seemingly a step ahead or so here for the moment, and staying a step ahead throughout this as those Fuelings get chased away. The Interceptors do well, and the Fuelings end up running beneath the Oracles as well, but again, just an example of Solar not really finding any damage across the map, unable to slow Zest down. My one question is, does Zest want to take a 4th base? Looks like he's positioning for it, so it does seem likely that he'll just go to 4 bases now and just be comfortable there. Flux Fane's coming up, so the Voids are going to be speedy. And we've got Charge coming through, +1 attack. We even have that Templar Archives. We'll see if he wants to go straight to Storm. As Corruptors, I wouldn't mind just going into a bunch of Archons initially, and maybe thinking about Storm much further down the line. Giving the Oracles 1, 2, 3. Nearly finding another kill there. As 3 drones get picked off, the Oracles now gonna end up escaping up the left-hand side. And well, again, the Void's coming out. Charge is about to finish. Again, Zest just doesn't see any need to be aggressive, right? If he can just play defensively and build up into this kind of an army, that's typically the dream scenario for most Protoss players. So he'll just say, yeah, happy with this. It's Solar that needs to do something here, not me. And Solar's... Did he just finish the Infestation Pit? Is that what I just saw on the production tab? Yeah, so Infestation Pit finish could do with the Hive. Zest is actually going to attack now. Do I mind this? I just talked about how I liked him being defensive. He did just finish up a set of his upgrades. He has a couple of Archons that will do well. There are also Vials, though, going to get rid of one Void Ray. The Archon's now dead, but the Zealot will charge through onto what is only Ling Ravager. There's a Spore Crawler here as well that will go down. Looks as though Zest is doing alright, as the Corruptors are basically trying to avoid the fight until those Void Rays are at least going to lose the Prismatic Alignment. feel like it's an attack that's doing okay for Zest, but was it a necessary attack? No, he could have absolutely gone away with not making this attack. Looks as though he's probably going to be okay as those corruptors all go down. Okay. Soul actually leaves the game ahead on supply, but he just knows his reinforcements aren't going to be enough. What was really important was Zest just having enough to overwhelm it. In the top left-hand side, we do have our pink Protoss player who has taken this onto match, and hence it's kind of weird because like this is like a little tournament within the tournament, right? So looking to be the winner of the day if you can win this next map. It is Zest in the upper left corner. It's down on the bottom right. Our blue Zerg is Solar. Game 4 is our probe from Zest. Will make its way down the bottom right. Almost a bit of early game waiting in PvZ to see what ends up happening, right? As a hatchery gets forced out of position, this probe really is the most exciting thing going on at the moment, as everything else looks pretty standard. Nibble nibble, says the drone, as it gets chased away. Pretty handily. It's weird casting so many games of the same plays in a row. Obviously, like Zest and Solar played the 3 games earlier in the initial best of 3. Now they've played 2 more and so on. And it's when Zest keeps opening Stargates, it doesn't give us much new stuff to talk about because he's still doing things in some different ways, but a lot of it is just waiting to see what else he might change up or what variation of this Stargate he might go for this time around. There's not really anything to make a tell on that with early game or anything we can already see him doing that is different to all the other games he set up on the Stargate with, right? So that's kind of the weird situation we sit in when it comes to commentary on this PvZ. Solar's been mixing up the stars a bit as well. Obviously, still playing against a lot of different Stargate setups, but he's played some Hydras, he's played some Mutas, he's played a Queen Roach attack, He's definitely been unafraid of mixing it up himself. Okay, just coming through at the front as we will see an Adept over here from Zest going to finish up. Oracle going to be finishing, and Zest will take this across the map to join the Void Ray. So Void Ray into Oracle this time. I'm just going to run that down to the front here. We're actually going to get rid of a... Oh, no, we don't get rid of the Creep Tumor. Already seen these Lings kind of coming through, though, and trying to put on a little bit of additional pressure as well. Void Ray shows up. Lings do take a chunk of damage there. As we go Forge second Stargate. So we've seen this build a few times from Zest. This is just double Stargate Void Ray. And his way of playing it, which typically then does go Twilight and Charge and +1 as well. Has been how we go about this typically. Three drones go down. 3 drones do full. On the top side, these few lings get chased away. There's that second Stargate finishing, and again the Void Rays can continue to produce. This is going to get a little bit of a surround. Robo Facility is going to get picked off, so that's going to go down again. That happened in a previous game, right? Robo gets cancelled, has to rebuild. Still that Oracle putting in work across the map. The Oracles have been amazing for Zest in these games. They have done so much. Queen Walk is happening, so Zest is setting up for the defense. All those cannons coming through. Voids continue to prepare. Let's see how well we do. I was going to see our Voids activating, as we do see the initial piles on cannons. They aren't ready yet, as one Void Ray went down very quickly, didn't really move back to the Super Battery, which is in a very safe place. Can't complain about that. Cannon's more or less dead before this even starts, though. I mean, they only got a few shots off. Biles, something that Zest has to dodge, and we have seen him struggle to dodge Biles already in an earlier match today. I'm going to turn onto a couple more of these Ravagers. The Queen's still pushing through. More Voids on the way out. Can we get to an amount of Voids here that can truly fight against these Queens? It is possible, right, where you can get to the amount of Voids, but it's going to be tough without Super Battery or just battery support in general. Solar's still trying to crash on through. Zest has a big work lead at the moment. He's got another battery in the back. How far are we from Super Battery? 15, 20 seconds? The additional batteries finishing up are really going to start making a difference. As though, that's a single pylon powering all of those batteries, so they get unpowered, and all of a sudden, this one battery is the only one that could end up being overcharged, and it's going to be the prime target. So while Zest did so well adding on additional static defense, it falls apart when he forgets to actually support that static defense with more than one pylon. Solar's still going to try and crash through at the front. The Voids are trying to shut down reinforcements at this point. Problem is, the Voids are the only real thing that's defending as well for Zest. So as Oracle shows up, it's going to put a bit of damage out. It kind of flies into the Queens. Now he gets biled. Does pull back. The Voids have come back from defending against reinforcements and will focus on the main army once again. One thing to note is there's not really any other Queens joining this fight, though, right? The Queen count seems to be pretty stationary, so maybe we just get to that Void Ray number that can fight off these Queens. The transfusion count is not that high. Nearly gets a Queen right there. Zest has some money to spend, by the way. We're at a point where maybe if we could just warp in a whole chunk of, well, anything would be great, but he doesn't have warp gates. He has no gates in the game at all, and that's why he's floating so much money. Well, at this point, I'd love to see him even just try and build batteries in the front because it could go so well for him. Now, Solar never finished off the third base early as he does start to lose these Queens. He will finish the third, but the Void Rays are obviously going to avoid the bile. Void Rays will clean up all of these Queens now, so the Queens will end up going down. A couple more transfusions. Pulls the Voids back a second. I would love to see just spending some of those minerals on well, A, batteries, but B, why not start some gateways, right? Feels like that's something which you could have done a little while ago. Didn't necessarily need to wait this long. Maybe Zest just so preoccupied trying to deal with this. I mean, right now he's scared of the 4 Queens. Imagine he had a battery or two. These Voids would have been full shields, and it's a different story. In we go, and the 4 Queens should die pretty quick. We do lose another Void in the process, as we kill off some Lings and Ravages as well. I mean, Solar loses out on most of his anti-air. Across the map, the Oracle comes back in. Holy shit, it has 23 kills. And I know they're not all drones because it helped out defensively a little bit as well, but killing 5 more. Remember, it had at least 8 or so earlier. This Oracle has been a hero, and Solar only has 34 drones left in the game as well. So his worker count ain't pretty, and he's still just massing units to go for one more bust. Zest adds a Stargate and another Fleet Beacon. I would love to see him just, I mean, where are the batteries? Can we really do this without batteries? It's a pylon down here. I mean, why are there not just 2 batteries on this natural expansion? Zest, you still have minerals in the bank. You still had minerals in the bank. 3 more cannons start on the low ground. The thing is, the cannons will only go so far, right? And I just don't understand why we're not going for batteries. Like, why? Zest, you're making this way more difficult than it ever needed to be. These Queens actually have a lot of transfusion energy as well. And as you do see, the Ling is going to go down to the low ground, cancel up a few of these cannons. There's still a set of cannons in the back of the natural, which are looking to do okay. Tempest on the way, by the way, so they can try and kill the Queens from afar without actually having to use the Voids. I mean, they build pretty quick Tempest too, so I don't hate it. And right now, masses of transfusions on one Ravager. I don't know if I like that versus just keeping the transfusions for when the Queens are under fire. Still heavily relying on these cannons as Solo tries to push on through. I think the Tempests are going to be a big game changer because the damage they'll put out on the Queens without having to be in range of Queen Fire has the potential to genuinely change the game. Reinforcements being picked away at by these two Voids as well, which are kind of standing guard. Here are the Tempests, and Queens will start dropping. Like I say, the difference they make might actually just win this game out for Zest as he continues to clean this up. The Queens are still standing for a little while longer, but a Super Battery helps out too, and Zest gets the hold to win this series 3-1, and he will be the winner